Hey everyone, welcome to season 3. This is Shauna.
And this is Rosalina, and we're your hosts for Too Young for This Shit podcast. This podcast is not just about boobs, but a journey with cancer. We are young millennials, open about giving you our raw and unfiltered look into our lives. We are in no way medical professionals, nor are we offering medical advice. Any medical references are cited directly from public websites or from our personal diagnosis. Some topics and stories may be triggering to those who are fighting, have fought, or have loved someone with cancer. Hi everyone, I'm your host Rosalina, and welcome to our second Tit Talk. This mini-series is where we dive deep into all things breast cancer news, bringing you the latest updates and vital information to keep you in the know. I would link all the resources mentioned in the show notes. In this discussion, I'd like to talk about why it's important for young women under 40 to be well informed about their breast health. Breast cancer can affect young women, and age should not be seen as a barrier. It's essential that young women are not told they are quote unquote too young to be at a risk factor for breast cancer. Heck, this podcast is even named Too Young for This Shit because it is our sassy way of clapping back at all those times we've heard it from doctors and friends and family members. We're here to remind everyone that age should never be an excuse to downplay the importance of breast health. Breast cancer in younger women is also on the rise. A recent study in JAMA Network Open revealed an increase in cancer diagnosis among Americans under 50, with a significant rise in cases among women. Between 2010 and 2019, diagnosis in the 30 through 39 age group increased by 19.4%. And in the 20 through 29 age group, the increase was 5.3%. Breast cancer was the most common type of cancer in this younger population. Furthermore, about 85% of women who are diagnosed with breast cancer have no family history, while approximately 5 to 10% of cases of breast cancer are associated with a family history. The rate of late-stage breast cancer diagnosis in young women also has been climbing. In women under age 40, the rate has increased by about 3% each year from 2000 to 2019, according to data from the American Cancer Society. Even with these trends, there is a noticeable absence of guidance for younger women regarding early detection of breast cancer. Screening mammograms are typically suggested for women aged 40 to 74 because studies indicate they may not be as effective for younger women. However, I'll provide some resources to help you discuss breast health and your individual risk factors with your medical team because taking charge of our health is one of the most amazing things you can do for yourself. Don't wait for your doctors to bring up the conversation. Start having this conversation now. This year, in 2023, there has been an updated breast cancer screening guidelines from the American College of Radiology. They recommended that all women, especially Black and Ashkenazi Jewish women, undergo a risk assessment by the age of 25 to assess whether earlier screening before the age of 40 is necessary. If you want to understand your risk factors and how to discuss this with your doctor, there's a helpful tool available from the Brem Foundation. The Brem Foundation, a nonprofit based in Washington, D.C., focuses on maximizing every woman's chance of finding early curable breast cancer through education, access, and advocacy. As part of their commitment to women's education, they've introduced an accessible and cost-free breast health quiz tool named CheckMate. This innovative tool was developed by national experts in early detection and has undergone focus group testing with women from diverse backgrounds. Given the recent rise in breast cancer diagnosis, as shown in the JAMA Network Open study, combined with what we already know about certain ethnic groups being at high risk of getting breast cancer, it is particularly important for women to have a better understanding of their risk factors for breast cancer so they can be their own best breast health advocates. This resource is designed to provide you with a list of personalized risk factors and a list of points of conversation with your doctor about your breast health. So, how does it work? It's a simple and free tool that takes 3 minutes to do. So, one, you'll respond to basic inquiries about your health history. Two, you'll discover your individual risk factors for breast cancer. And lastly, upon finishing the quiz, you'll receive personalized talking points to discuss during your medical provider appointments. The primary message behind the creation of CheckMate is to emphasize the critical importance of early detection. 1 out of every 8 women will receive a breast cancer diagnosis, and early detection plays a pivotal role in improving survival rates. Unfortunately, many women underestimate their personal risk factors, including family history and breast density. Some groups of women are at higher risk. For example, Black women have a 40% higher chance of dying for breast cancer compared to white women. Ashkenazi Jewish women are also more likely to carry the BRCA mutation. And furthermore, as a Latina, I needed to also include this piece of information as well, because breast cancer is also most commonly diagnosed among Latina women. It's crucial to acknowledge that for Latinas, preventative care for breast cancer often gets overlooked, resulting in delayed diagnosis. This can be attributed to economic constraints and restricted healthcare accessibility, which encompasses insufficient awareness about breast cancer risk, available screening choices, and language barriers. All these factors contribute to the hurdles Latinas face in accessing preventative care. Brem Foundation is actively developing a Spanish version of the quiz set to launch in the near future. This initiative is essential to promoting health literacy and to be inclusive for this minority group. Just wrapping up my thoughts, about 2 years ago when I was in my late 20s, I received a breast cancer diagnosis, which just shattered my belief that it primarily affected older people. And back then, I had very little knowledge about breast health. And it surprised me to learn that even with my doctors and my mom, they just hadn't provided me with this vital information. And therefore, I just wish that I had the tools and education to know about breast health. But unfortunately, I wasn't given the tools needed. Having gone through diagnosis and just treatment in general, which is horrible, and I never wish that upon anyone, I'm now much more aware of the importance of breast health. This is why I'm passionate about spreading the message to young women under 40. Just don't neglect your breast health. Conduct regular self breast exams. Become familiar with how your breast should look and feel, and learn about your family history. If needed, consult with your doctor about a genetic test. As my oncologist once told me, most organizations tend to focus on caring for women who are already diagnosed with breast cancer, which is amazing. But there's not enough emphasis on prevention. We need to create a balance and educate young women about preventative care because it's the best thing that you can do for your health. You can access valuable education from organizations, like I mentioned, on this Tit Talk, which is Brem Foundation, and then another organization that I am in support of, which is Young Breast Cancer Project. They're working to provide education on breast care and prevention because early detection saves lives. Taking care of your health and being proactive is the best step you can take for your well-being. That's all the news we have to share for this week. Thanks for listening in, and we'll be back in a few weeks with more of the latest breast cancer news.
A very special thanks to our podcast producer, Bethany Allard, and our podcast editor, Ayla Anderson.
Thank you all for listening and supporting our podcast. Sharing our stories with you has been incredibly healing for both of us, and we hope it helps other women in their journeys through breast cancer.
Ladies, if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and fellow breasties. Help us reach more women by subscribing and rating us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and now on YouTube. You can follow us on Instagram at TYFTS Podcast and email us at tyftspodcast@gmail.com. We love hearing from you guys, so shoot us a message. We will link any resources from the episode in our show notes.